Ralph, managers are notoriously never happy, but how close to perfect was that performance against Norwich?
No, this is right. The managers should not be happy completely because it's never perfect. Every game gets better, and sure, the second half was quite good. But in the first half, especially in the beginning, and also the second half, we had a few moments where we didn't have that best decision in that moment. But I think overall it was a very good first step. The longer the game goes, the longer or the better we have played, and this was a good first step in the rest of the season now.
Now you play Arsenal. So far against them, you've won one, drawn one, and lost one. How significant were the victory and the draw in your shaping of your Southampton team and style?
I think the opponent was, also an opponent that really fits to our game. It was quite a footballing good opponent, and that gives us more chances to work against the ball and to win balls. So, but also our game with the ball was much better to look at. I think it was clearer and more structured than in the past. We worked quite hard in the pre-season to develop this part of our game, and we had chances to score more than 3 goals, and gives me a good feeling. And what also important was the defending around the box. Also the chances we gave away were very less, and most of the time it was when we made a mistake behind, but normally it was a very clinical performance from our side. Yes.
When you went to the Emirates this season, there was a big gap, I think 13 points between the two teams. A win in this next game and you're level on points. How big a turning point was that trip to the Emirates?
Yeah, it was an important game. I remember this. We got to the back four the first time, and then we had a very good game against an opponent that made the equalizer in the overtime. So we only took 1 point, but I think it was one of our best games then in this season, in the beginning until that moment. And something of a turnaround absolutely for us.
Can you tell us your team news going into this game, please?
Yeah, so far, players are all fit. Long is back, strength with the team this week. And so we have another opportunity in front. And yeah, only Musa is out with his suspension. The rest is available.
Jordan, is that me done, or am I allowed to ask a couple more?
You can ask a couple more if you want whilst we're waiting for Sky.
Ralph, how about Arsenal since lockdown? What have you made of them in their 2 defeats?
I think they had a difficult start. Strong opponents against Man City. They have 3 away games in a row. It's never easy. A few problems with injuries. A very, very bad injury last week for Bernd Leno, and hope he wish him all the best. That he gets fit quick and soon. But we knew that it would be a very difficult time now in the beginning. We have a lot of games in short term, and everybody must try to have the squad in the best physical quality as possible. So I think we showed last week that we are quite good in our physical shape. But Arsenal, they have so much quality in front, and especially with the ball, it's a fantastic team. So we must be very good organized, very concentrated, and then we have a chance.
We've heard from a lot of players about what it's like and how strange it is to play in an empty stadium. What's it like for a manager? Is it helping you get messages across?
Yes, I must say it was for me a little bit easier, and you get the message easier to the players also if they are further away from you, because when there's a good atmosphere in the stadium, normally there's no chance to do it. So this can sometimes help. Maybe sometimes it's too much for the players, but then we have to stay calmer. But in the end, I think it's an advantage for the coach anyway. That doesn't mean that it's nicer to play without our fans. So we would like to have them, especially when you win the games together in the stadium. Then it's a special moment, and we miss this absolutely. But for the poor coaching, it's easier. Yes.
And I suppose this is a slightly difficult question. Your Southampton's home form has been an issue for a few seasons now. Could this perhaps be a turning point, that it's something so very different that perhaps now a run at home could happen?
Yeah, when we speak about the advantage of home games, I think, and that is gone in these games now without crowd. For us, we have absolutely worse stats at home, and so for us, only can get better. You're right. Yeah, it is not possible to do it worse. Would be when there's the argument that we have sometimes pressure at home and play different. I think this argument is gone now, so we can also focus completely on what we do best. And nobody will have any arguments now why I shouldn't work at home exactly the same, better than in the past. So we take the last 8 games and the 4 home games we have to make a better growth than so far.
Just finally, how did you rate James Ward-Prowse's first game as full-time captain? Did he rise to the challenge the way you'd hoped?
I think I have heard from worse things than starting with 3-0 as a captain. So definitely not the worst start for him. I think he did again a fantastic job. But I must also say that the way Pierre acts with this is also very professional, and nothing else I expected, to be honest. It was maybe for you outside a more critical decision that I take than for me inside, because I know my players and I know that this would work. And Prowse did again an amazing job. He's always a role model for how we want to play, and Pierre was also fantastic. The center was so strong in the last game, and the 2 guys really. You see, there's nothing about. Don't want him to be captain or something like that. No, this was very professional from both sides, and this is what a coach likes to see.
Yeah, hi. Sorry, Ralph. Hello. Sorry, I missed the first few minutes of this. I was going to ask you about Kyle Walker-Peters. Obviously, he's staying with you now to the end of the season. What are your thoughts about giving him a run in the team? Because many Saints fans now want to see him in the team. And what are your thoughts too about making his loan move permanent at the end of the season?
Well, I have not decided it yet, and it's right. He will stay until the end of the season with us, and we have now 8 games in the short term, so it's quite likely that he can start 1 game or 2 games or whatever. It's important that we trust every player who is with us, and I do this. And when he gets the chance, I'm sure he will make a good game.
Your first win as Southampton manager was against Arsenal way back in December 2018. I'm sure you remember it well. Is it true to say that you like the feeling of beating Arsenal? And what are your memories of that first win over them when you were Saints boss?
Yeah, it feels like it is 10 years ago, so it's long gone. So there's nothing older than the success you had yesterday in football. So don't look too much back to such moments. Sure, you will never forget this. It was a special moment. It's been the first time in the stadium, and then immediately take a 3-2 win in a fantastic game. What stays the same is that it is always difficult against such a good opponent to win, and that you have to make a very, very good game. And this is all the energy I'm using to concentrate on this. And for us, after the first good step back in business, it's important to show us again at home that we stay on our very hungry and successful way of playing.
And Danny Ings scored twice in that match, if you remember. He's now on 16 Premier League goals, and with Arsenal depleted by injury and also suspension, is Danny Ings the man to cause them more problems, do you think?
Hopefully, yeah. But we have also other players who can score. That showed the last game. Our cleanser are also hot, Brady and Stewie. And yeah, it's good that we have more players on the pitch that can score. We had massive chances in the last game, and but also didn't give a lot of chances away. And this was the good fundament of being successful. And this must stay the same for the future.
One last one, if I may. Are you thinking along the lines of beating Arsenal will guarantee safety and 40 points? Are you telling the boys, you win this one, we're safe?
We want to take as much points as possible in the last 8 games. And the more wins we take, the higher we climb in the table. So we know that for the relegation, I think we are in a very good position now. It's quite unlikely that we get relegated. I think one more win, and then we have 40 points. And with 40 points, we were always sure that we are safe. But there's more to get for us. And when we show these behaviors we showed in the last game and during the whole preseason, I was quite happy with the way the team worked on the pitch. Everybody in the club worked so far, and the way we started was quite good. But this is now an opponent who has much more quality in front, so we must really be careful and show that we can again have a clean sheet and win again.
Thank you. Good luck.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jeremy. We will go to Lewis Coons at South today.
Can I make these pictures here up on this level?
Hi, Ralph. Can you hear me okay there?
Yeah, I can hear. That was good because then I can look up and.
There you go. It's like we're in the same room, nearly. Just going back to the Norwich game, you left it to 80 minutes to make your first substitution. Other teams obviously have made changes earlier. Were you surprised at the level of fitness of your team?
No, I was not surprised because I see them every day. And we had quite intense sessions in this short preseason. And the level they came back to the first session, I think, was a very high one. So they did a good job in this long break and stayed fit. And compliment to my staff and to the players that they showed that they are really fit.
Do you see fitness being a key advantage or a key characteristic that you can gain from over the next coming weeks as other teams kind of get up to speed as well?
I think it's the most important thing of fitness is that you minimize the risk of getting injured. And when you have so many games, I think this is quite likely otherwise. And so this protects you a little bit more. And this is what our players know. And the rest, I think in the games, it's all about quality and not only about fitness. But it is helpful if you make more sprints, if you more or higher deceleration, accelerations, then it's definitely not a disadvantage.
Do you see that lockdown actually came at a good time for your squad in many ways, because the form wasn't great going into it, and you seem to have started in a rich vein?
Yeah, but this was only the first game, so the first fruits you get from the tree are normally not the best, so you must wait for the second one and the third one, and then you can say if it's really good. So keep them on the ground. I will do this, and then finally we have to show up now all 3-4 days, and this is what we want to.
You mentioned about that 36-point mark through the season to now get there. How crucial is that for you in terms of your long-term planning, looking to next season in terms of signings and maybe tying in players on contracts and things like that?
It's absolutely helpful that we have now 37 points, so we normally know that we are next season also in the Premier League, but we want to have more. We want to climb higher, and we want to every position we climb is more money for the club in the next season. And we don't need more than a game on the weekend, about 3 points in the Premier League, that we are fully motivated. And it's up for us to be still critical with what we have done last week, because not everything was perfect, especially the beginning was not so good. And we had, I think, a quite good debrief of the game. And finally, learn from what you have, what lack you had in your game, and keep on doing what you have done good.
And then just one more, finally, if I can, a word on Stuart Armstrong. Now 4 goals in his last 7 appearances. How important is he becoming for your team? He seems to really understand what you expect from that position.
Yeah, I know. Also, that our history together was not the easiest one, I think, because you had a very clear. He's a smart guy, and he's a very clear opinion what he wants to play. Yeah, I had to take a lot of. I had to speak a lot of times with him to convince him about that the number 10 is a perfect position for him in my shape. And I think now he feels very comfortable. He knows exactly what he has to do against the ball and with the ball, and that gives him more confidence. And I know that he can score. Has a good finish with both legs. So full feet, it's good.
Thank you for your time, Ralph.
Thanks, Lewis.
Hi, Ralph.
Hi.
Just wanted to ask.
Yeah.
Just checking. As today's the extension date for those for the rest of the season, I was just wondering if you could confirm that Kevin Danso would be staying for the duration, whether his deal has been extended.
The same like Kyle, haven't decided yet. Let them play the last 8 games. Let me look how far he is in his development, how quick he takes it, and then we have time to decide it. So everybody should get the chance to show up in the last games.
Southampton are bottom of the table in terms of home form. Obviously, it's a very different surroundings now you're going to be going into. Is this a chance to press reset, perhaps, on the home form at St Mary's and maybe build some momentum for when the fans do return?
Yeah, could be. Yeah, it could be a chance for a reset. And as I said, the stats can get more worth, I think. So it was not really a fantastic season from our side. If we are successful, not that it looks like we can only play without our fans at home. So, but I think it's absolutely necessary to show that we can win more games at home, if with our crowd or not. Our fans know that we do everything what we do for them to make them happy. And if they are not in our stadium, I think they will enjoy, hopefully, watching us from home, supporting us from home, and they should know that we really like to see them back.
And finally, from me, what have you made of the work Mikel Arteta has done? Obviously, it's been a difficult restart, but there were some positive signs early on of his time at Arsenal. And is this a good time to be playing them, or perhaps a bad one, given that they're going to be looking to bounce back?
Against a strong team, it's never a good or bad moment. It's always difficult because they have quality, they have fantastic players, and it's always to play the game. And even if they have a few injuries, the squad is so big, they can absolutely hit back immediately. And if you give them a little space, they are unstoppable when with their speed. So we must really take care, really pay attention of everything, and finally make a very, really good game.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thanks, Simon. We will move on to the embargoed section for 10:30 this evening. Just a reminder, if you've got a question, to raise your hand and we will come round to you. We'll do one question plus a follow-up per person in this section, and then we'll come back to the top of the list and work our way through once everyone's asked all of their questions. So we'll go to Dan Sheldon at the Echo first.
Hi, Ralph.
Hi.
Just on a point you made in the immediate section about the added prize money, that if you finish up higher up the table, you'll obviously get more money. Given the uncertainty that could be going into this transfer window, and there are a lot of players the club would perhaps like to sell but may not be able to, how important will that money be the higher you finish up the table?
For us also always important, absolutely. Gives you a little bit more opportunities maybe in this transfer window. That doesn't change our general philosophy that we try to look on the players of our academy. and develop them and give them a chance to play. And this will be also the way in the future. But when we sell players, reinvest the money is normal for us in a smart way, I think. And this is what we are looking for.
And would you perhaps label this the most important transfer window since you've been at the club? You know, you've just committed your long-term future to Saints. Shane Long's just signed a new deal. Will Smallbone has. Is this the summer where you really hope to transform? Get the players you don't want out and bring some new ones in?
Yeah. Every transfer window is important because in every transfer window you see that you have problems in some positions, and you need on the level you are in the moment to find players that immediately help you. It's not so easy for us because normally they cost quite a lot of money and we don't have this. But the quality of a good transfer for me is to find a guy who has absolute potential to grow quickly and come to this level and then even goes higher with us. And this is the key and the big challenge, I think, for us on the transfer market. And yes, I think other clubs can maybe sign 5 or 6 players, and then if 2 or 3 are good, it's okay. We can maybe sign 1 or 2 players, and they must both be perfect. And that doesn't make it so easy, but to bring somebody in who has potential, and then it's on us, on me, on my staff, to make him better. And this challenge we are facing, and we like this challenge.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. We will go to Adrian Kajumba at the Mail.
I'm moving up. Hi, Ralph. How are you?
I am okay, thank you.
Good. I'm good, thank you. Ralph, it was very interesting what you were saying about Stuart Armstrong and trying to persuade him about the position that you wanted him to play in. How did you go about doing that? Because, as you said, he had his own views on where he should play. So how did you convince him that you were right?
Yeah, a lot of players have their own view to what they do best. And I think it's important for every manager to convince the players about their strength and what they have to learn. And at 8, what he likes to play the most is in our shape nearly the 10, because our 10s are playing a little bit more inside and not really wingers. And this is the reason why I think he then accepts that this is a good position for him. And he has, especially in the final third, some really good moves and can score always. And he has with left and with right absolutely good finish. And I think this makes him to a good number 10 if he also works against the ball, disciplined, if he closes well, if he is part of the net. And from his physical part, I think he must really take care of his body because he had some injuries also this season. We always pay attention very much for his fitness. He's a guy who's normally really investing a lot on the pitch, but sometimes gets some light injuries that bans him for 2-3 weeks, and that's it. It's always a hit back, and this is what we must avoid in the future.
Obviously, Danny Ings has been a big source of goals. So how pleasing is it for you to see him contributing regularly from that position he's playing and giving you another sort of goal scoring option? Obviously, that's what he was known for at Celtic, these goals from midfield.
Yeah, Danny is in good shape. Really enjoys the work. Has a fantastic season. Unbelievable how clinical he is in the box. And important player for us in the moment, the whole year. And hopefully there are coming a few more goals. It's not only on him to score, but if he makes always the opener, it helps massively.
Yeah, that's what I meant. So, I mean, having Stuart as well contributing, that must be obviously great for you to know that you do have another option and it's not just all on Danny.
No, it's important. I always said that it's not so good to have one striker who scores 15 times and then you have nobody else who scores, because then you are easy to read for the opponent. It's easy to say, okay, this guy, concentrate on him, and then this is gone, this team. No, we need guys who support him, who are also dangerous of scoring goals, and then our whole offensive more flexible.
Thanks, Ralph. Cheers. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks, Adrian. We'll go to Carl at The Athletic.
Hello, Ralph. Good to see you.
Yeah.
I just want to pick up on some comments that have been raised earlier this conference, talking about your previous games against Arsenal and what comes ahead. I just want to ask you, sort of, how do you rank your Southampton career today?
Overall, or what?
Yeah, overall, and sort of as a package, how have you improved from Arsenal game to Arsenal game? So it was.
Yeah, I think we spoke about that in the beginning of the preseason, and I spoke about that we had some really good terms where we played quite as a top team, especially over Christmas this year, massive wins and unbeaten run for a long time. And we had some really difficult moments where we were really struggling, but this is football, and this is sometimes, it's the interesting part of our job, to be honest, because you don't work different, you don't invest less, but suddenly things don't go right, and you must find a way back to the success. And this is always a challenge in every week, in every month, and over a year. What you get in the end is the result of the whole 12 months we were working for this result. And I think this is the nice thing of football. I think that it's so honest. It's there's no hiding behind something. It's a clear message you get in the end of the season. It was position 11 or 12 or whatever, and this means 12 teams did it better than you. So we want to climb. This is what the target we have.
I remember you earlier in the season saying you weren't really going to pay attention to the league table until you'd played everyone once. And then by the time you did, Southampton were 14th, which is sort of reasonable where everyone sort of expected you to be. In terms of that sort of progression, how did you know that it was going to take a little bit of time for Southampton to get to that point? And how do you do that again with these 8 games?
Yeah, because the Premier League is simply too strong to be not consistent in your performance. If you are not, then you will never get in a situation that you have a run of 3, 4, 5 wins in a row. If you want to take this, you must really be consistent. And we had such a consistent period over Christmas. That was right, so the way we want to play and the way we want to take results. But this must not be only for 1 month. It must be for 7 or 8 months. Yeah? If you can handle this, then you are a very strong team, and then you are up in the table. And this is then deserved. In the moment we deserve where we are. We had one situation. I think we were in the 9th position. It was the highest rank in the season. But then again we fall back in some mistakes and giving games away easy way. And as long as we don't stop this, it's not better. It's not possible to be higher.
One further question from me, if I'm allowed. We've talked about the loanees that are staying at Southampton at the moment. In terms of the Southampton loanees that are outside Southampton, so players like Elanusi, Fraser Forster, Mario Lemina and whatnot, is there any news that needs to be wrapped up involving you and those players at the moment? How is your communication with some of those players?
We are in touch with them, especially with Martin, our chairman, who is always taking care about the guys. Difficult situation for them because some league have stopped and some clubs, must decide if they take them. I think they did mostly a good job in other clubs, and this is good for us because that gives them a value, not only for us, also for other teams, and this makes it easier to take the decision in the summer. They are still our players, and if other players want to get them or for permanent, you must have to find an agreement. But we are working on every player and taking care of everybody.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Carl. We will go to Tom Ruddy at The Times.
Hello, Ralph.
Hello.
You talking earlier and also on Friday night about how you're looking up the league now rather than down in relegation. What is your target for these final few games, points or position wise?
24 points. My target, because this is a number of points you can get, and yeah, absolutely. I think we did it in the preseason very concentrated to analyze the season so far, and this is a chance you never get so often. Analyze a whole season during the season, have the time then to make a few changes in the short preseason and start again and get another chance to show up again. And I think we took the time quite serious and worked quite very hard with the team, and could work very hard with them because they had a good fitness level. And as soon as we were allowed to work with bigger groups, I think we had some very good sessions. And yeah, now we had only one game played. Hopefully we now are coming tough games against Arsenal, Watford, Man City, Man United. So Everton, these are very, very tough fixtures, but every fixture in the Premier League is tough. And it's a chance to show ourselves how far we are and how good we are and how consistent we are.
It feels as well, watching the game on Friday night, it feels like Southampton are a team on the up again, in contrast to Arsenal, who are in a bit of disarray at the moment. With this summer and the transfer market, I know the finances are completely different, but with the finances aside, do you think Southampton are a more attractive prospect for potential players than Arsenal now?
No. Because this is a completely different world, if you want, because they have other targets than we have. We have the target to develop young players, to stay in the league, to climb the table, to come maybe in the top 10, and they are always speaking about the Champions League, and so this is a completely different way. It's one of the top 6 clubs in England with a big history, and they will never be happy with a position 6 or 7. For us, it would be the biggest thing in the world. So no, this is not our the level where we look for players is not the level where Arsenal looks for players. So, but that's not a problem for me, because we know our philosophy, we know our limits we have, and I can say to you, it is really nice to play in the Champions League. It's absolutely enjoyable, but the job I have here, I don't enjoy less. It's fantastic to work with these young players and to see them growing and see them getting better and competing against good teams in the Premier League. So yeah, I enjoy this job very much, and it's a different philosophy.
Brilliant. Thank you, Ralph. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. We'll go to Tom Barkley at The Sun.
Hi, Ralph. How you doing?
Yeah.
Just sort of following on from that question, actually, from Tom. As you pointed out, the ambitions for the two clubs are quite different, and you know what it's like to work on a budget. But it seems like the way things are going with Arsenal, if they don't make the Champions League, they will be financially hampered, and Mikel Arteta won't have as much to work with. Given that Champions League football long term is what they're aiming for, and trophies, how difficult a job is it going to be for him to be able to achieve that on limited funds, given the strength of some of the other teams in the league?
You know, when you're part of the Premier League, maybe it's the toughest league in the world to reach the Champions League, because there are not only 4 or 5 clubs, they have the potential to go there. There are maybe 8 or 9 clubs that can do it. And especially the top 6 are always very close together. And so it's quite a really, really tough job to go there and to come there with your team. Yes, but you know this, when you're manager of such a club, that they will always ask for or demand this. And in the end, it's not all about money, I think. Sure, transfers are very important, especially when you have some problems with injuries or something for long-term injuries. Then you need to have alternatives. But on the other side, our philosophy is also looking on our academy. And for us, especially in this time now where you're not so sure about the direction football goes and how much money we will have in the future, I think it's always quite helpful to have an academy. Then you can look at bringing in new players, and this would be our way in the future.
And you obviously took the captaincy off Pierre last week, and you've explained your reasons why. It's to do with commitment, the fact that he won't sign a new contract. Aubameyang at Arsenal is in a similar situation where he's got a year left on his contract. He's the captain. We're not sure whether he may well sign a contract, which is the difference between him and Pierre. But I just wanted to know what was, the importance of having that commitment from your captain. It's clearly very significant, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think it's also important for the team to get a clear message what we want to have, and I think the captain is a special position in a squad because he's the leader. He's normally going forward and steps ahead of everybody and try to push everybody. I don't think that I don't mean that Pierre cannot do this now without his captain's role, but in general, it's not absolutely perfect if you go in the last season being the captain and say I don't want to extend my contract. So then you must look for players. They stay with us longer, and I think that was a relatively clear message from my side. And both players understood it completely, and that doesn't mean that I have a lower meaning about Pierre, because he knows that I really appreciate what he does for this club, for this team, and how professionally he works for this team, and he as me want to be at the highest possible position in the table. When he should leave us in summer, then he goes and we are 9th or 8th or whatever. That would be fantastic for him also.
Just finally, did you see a similarity then between Aubameyang at Arsenal, or is it a very different situation with him?
I don't know the internals, so I cannot speak about that. I know that it is always difficult when a player goes in the last year of his contract. This is the problem since Bosman, that we have in a situation that players can put some pressure on clubs to leave and to force to leave because they're only 1 year here, and when they don't extend the contract, it's never a perfect situation for both parts.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tom. I'm going to go to Neil at the Mirror. Neil, you're currently on mute.
Sorry, yeah. Is that can you hear me at least?
I can hear you, yeah.
Not see, but hear.
Okay, that's better for everyone. Thank you. I just wanted to ask you something else. Just wanted to follow up on Tom's question. A lot of people maybe not think that the captain's role is that important at a football club. I mean, clearly, symbolically, what they represent for the club is important as much as what any player does on the pitch. Do you feel that?
To be honest, I didn't know this before I was coming to England, but it's such an important role, because in Germany it isn't. But I have recognized that in England this is a different part. They have told me about the actual captain and the overall captain or whatever. So there's some big history of being a captain in a team. I didn't know this. I've learned this, but for me it's still not such a big topic, because when somebody knows the way I want to manage a team and the way my team has to play, I want every player to be a captain on the pitch, because everybody must take the lead. If you go for winning a ball or helping each other, or I demand this from every player, and then it's not so important for me who is wearing this binder.
Okay, could I just ask you, do you feel there's any benefit from not having the usual pressure at this stage of the season, that you made yourself, you say, relatively secure, that without crowds or anything, you can maybe have to play with more freedom, where we saw with Norwich the other night, who are really under the pump, and now Arsenal are really under pressure now. Do you feel there's that?
I mean, sometimes pressure is good because it sharpens you and you're more concentrated. Sometimes it blocks you because you don't play that simple like you want to play. Yeah, I think it's a good balance. Yeah, we all have pressure, and I think also if you want to win games, nobody wants to lose, and this is the reason why you're going to game to win. So you do everything to win. Yeah, and if you have pressure or not, it doesn't make any difference. I think the key is that you get the feeling that you be competitive, and if you are, that you step in the game with 100% conviction that you can win this game, and then it's not so interesting if you have more pressure or less pressure. I think the players get used to it, and this is the reason why they are Premier League players, why they are sitting in my dressing room, because they have shown that they are able to do this, that they have shown that they are able to handle this pressure, and this is the reason why they are Premier League players, and that's why they deserve to sit in my dressing room.
Thank you.